Are done for the Browns, of course, but there's changes afoot internally in the coaching staff. Also, NFL playoffs. Oh boy, there's a lot to get to there. I got some best bets coming up. And do you want Kevin Stefanski calling plays for the Browns next year? Let's get to the show.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara, the sickest Cleveland Browns podcast.
In the backfield, Latavius Murray. Huntley takes the shotgun snap. Back to pass. Looks. The ball got stripped away. In the air. The Browns fight for the ball. And it's picked up by Myles Garrett. He's going to score. Touchdown.
It's going to be sick.
Well, guys, yeah, season's over. Different type of show than I was hoping we'd have this week. But it's over, right? It's done. Season's done. We all know that, and we have to move on. Hopefully you guys were able to cope and get over it and all that. I was just sad bastard for like 2 full days, and then gradually got off it. Like from Arrested Development, the George Michael, the head down the Charlie Brown sad walk. That was me, man. Like that was just so. It was just so disheartening from all what they did. And that the Flacco situation just collapsed on itself instantly after those 2 pick sixes. Like, it was a calamity, right? I just tweeted out at the time at AndyMC81 at SickPod Browns. I just wrote pumpkin. That was it. Cinderella story over. Now, questions we'll be getting to over the next few weeks on the show are, who should the backup quarterback be for the Browns? And that doesn't mean that DTR shouldn't be a part of the situation. But I think clearly what we saw this year with the Deshaun Watson health troubles was that you need a reliable quarterback. And look, PJ Walker, everything, it was lightning in a bottle for the Browns. You play those games and have PJ Walker in there again, it's probably going to go the other way more times than not. Is Joe Flacco the answer? Does that divide the locker room, the fan base? I'll tell you this. Those wide receivers and David Njoku, did they seem as happy, as energized when Deshaun Watson was in as when Joe Flacco was in? Now, I'm not saying that you're not going to go with Joe Flacco, obviously. You're going to go with Deshaun Watson. The head coach has said that. That's with the investment you made, you have to do that. But can you bring Joe Flacco back and have him as probably the best option if he's willing? Apparently, he said he was willing. He's going to test the market, see if he can get a starting job somewhere. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But who'd you rather have? Joe Flacco or the likes of, let's say, a Jacoby Brissett or Josh Dobbs? We're familiar with the system. Like, for me, I'd have Joe Flacco. My worry is that, of course, Deshaun starts off slow, more rust or whatever, and and then the fans start booing, and it's more pressure on him, blah, blah, blah. I just think that the kitty gloves are off now for Deshaun Watson. It proved rust is BS. Joe Flacco came in and did it. No excuses. Now, that brings me, and in a few minutes' time, we're going to talk NFL playoffs. This slate of games today. Get back to the Browns in one sec. This slate of games. Where do we want this to go as Browns fans? How do we want this? Do we want the Texans to beat the Ravens? Texans beat us? I do. Do you want the Bills to beat the Chiefs and shut up that whiny Patrick Mahomes and the Swifties? I do. The tricky one, though, I think, and rooting interest from afar, like, ultimately the Browns are out. I don't care if they play the Super Bowl. I'm bitter and angry. But Buccaneers, Lions, our sad sack Great Lakes brother team, the Lions, who haven't won a championship since the 50s, longer than us, at home. Or are you cheering for Baker Mayfield? Are you cheering for Baker to get it? Because you want a bit of chaos. You want pressure on this front office. You want the narrative for Browns fans. Baker wins this game and has the Buccaneers in the conference championships, and you're out in the first round, and the guy you spent all that money and dumped him for hasn't performed at any sort of consistent level. Bad look, a lot of pressure. Personally, I'm cheering for Baker because I got a whole bunch of Baker memorabilia. I have his autographed rookie card. Kind of want that to jump in value for selfish reasons. But also, man, like, I don't know. Always Browns first. But if you have to watch, like, I still think Baker got hosed. He did. You know, that's my opinion on it. So who do you want? Do you want Buccaneers? Do you want Lions? You can jump in the comment section here. You can get us on Twitter X at AndyMC81, at SickPodBrowns, on Instagram at AndyMC Sports, TikTok as well. Just going to jump in there. Josh Hennig, my buddy from ESPN 97.3 in South Jersey, is going to join me for some betting tips, our best bets for the NFL playoffs this week. You can jump in the comment section. Let us know your best bets. I got a couple interesting in-game parlays here. Same game parlays that I want to get to, but we'll look at all that and give you our best bets around the NFL. But the question I posed on Twitter, at SickPodBrowns, at AndyMC81. Make sure you click notifications here in the show as well. Click like. We always appreciate that. Check out the store shop. Fantasy football gear. Stacked. Great shirt. Fantasy football champion shirt. Professional fantasy football player Browns gear. Check in the team shop at the YouTube link there. Subscribe on YouTube. Question I posed to the Dog Pound. Should the next Browns offensive coordinator be someone who can take over play calling from Kevin Stefanski? When the news came down this week, I was surprised that Alex Van Pelt was apparently asked to be reassigned, and he didn't want that, obviously. It seemed like they wanted him away from the quarterbacks. Stump Mitchell gone, who, remember, was someone Stefanski kept, a carryover from the Freddie Kitchens era of 1 year in 2019. And then tight ends coach T.C. McCartney. That one is curious, the tight end one, because, like, David Njoku had his best year. Now, that came under Joe Flacco. They weren't anything special really before Joe Flacco. So was it more Flacco? Was it coaching? Just odd that you'd get rid of a position coach who elevated David, your star, to his best season. And speaking of best seasons, we have Wyatt Teller and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, alternates now in the Pro Bowl. Now Pro Bowl official. So congrats to JOK, his first one, and Wyatt Teller 3 in a row for Wyatt Teller. There's a lot of contract stuff to get to as well. We'll get to that over the next few weeks, few shows. 22 free agents for the Browns. I want to do a stay or go in the next week or two. Stay or go for the free agents, then the roster overall. There's a lot of – Andrew Berry is going to be busy. He is going to have his hands full because you can't keep everybody. The salary cap numbers are climbing for Nick Chubb, for Amari Cooper, for Wyatt Teller. It's all a lot. And now when we look at it, it's like, well, if you can't keep everybody, who do you keep? You let Austin Watkins go out the door. He's with Philly. Josh Hennig from ESPN Radio is going to join me in a few minutes. That's his team. We can fill him in on Austin Watkins. I wish they would have let him play, man. I don't know why. After that preseason, I don't know why. There's Tashi in the chat. Should I stay or should I go? Always stay, Tashi. Always stay. Always stay. Hope you're well. From TSN and in Toronto, now in New York, living in bright lights. Tashi, go Browns. That's right. Go Browns forever. Well, you know, until next year anyway. Now, some options for offensive coordinator. These coming down. And the hiring of this will obviously tell us a lot about what Kevin Stefanski plans to do. Now, if they hire the offensive line coach from the Seattle Seahawks that was with the Browns in 2009 and 2013, I think. The heck is that guy's name? I don't think they're going to hire him anyway. Where is it? Oh, well, the O-line, some O-line coach. If you hire someone like that, or let's say even a Clint Kubiak, son of Gary Kubiak, that's where the whole Shanahan offensive system that Stefanski is a disciple of comes down from. Still young, but if you hire especially like an offensive line coach, you're not going to have him call plays. If Kevin Stefanski wouldn't let Alex Van Pelt call plays, he's not going to let some assistant coach call plays. Now, if you have Tim Kelly, and a hot name was Bill O'Brien, hired by the Ohio State Buckeyes. That's a great hire by Ryan Day. I think that's going to be a really big addition and upgrade having Bill O'Brien go to Ohio State. That's a nice move in really a must-win year, at least a must-beat Michigan year for the Buckeyes. So nice hire by Bill O'Brien. So that cuts him out because I think this move was made, and these offensive moves were made after the offense did great. The defense let them down in that first half before the Flacco pick sixes, and you fire the offenses, guys. You fire the offensive coaches. I think it was made because, remember this, Kevin Stefanski with Alex Van Pelt were brought in to do what in 2020? To fix Baker Mayfield, to get him back up. Remember, 2018 came in, Rockstar saved the day. 2019, Freddie Kitchens, disaster. 2020, Stefanski came in, best year, made the playoffs, won the game, COVID year. 2021, injury, sabotage, in my opinion, and out the door. So Stefanski and Alex Van Pelt were brought in to work with Baker Mayfield. And I don't think it's a coincidence that when they've dealt with quarterbacks like a Flacco, who isn't a run-first guy, even a Jacoby Brissett the Browns' offense was phenomenal. It was clicking. With not a run-first improv guy, it was great. So that's why they were brought in. So for the Browns in this offense, you have to make changes if you want to try to get the most out of Deshaun Watson, which they obviously do and have to do with the investment. So with Bill O'Brien gone, Tim Kelly was Watson's offensive coordinator in his last year in Houston, the 2020 year, under Bill O'Brien, when Watson had his best statistical season, led the NFL in passing yards. So that could be a hire. He's free now from the Titans, was the Titans offensive coordinator. Now you bring a Tim Kelly in, that's where I could see maybe Stefanski giving up play calling, saying, okay, you've had success with Deshaun doing the play, you do the plays. Not that Stefanski can't, and I think he's improved a lot over this year. I'm not afraid on this show to call him or anybody on the Browns front office out. But he did a great job, and he really improved. I think he became more of a coach and handled the play calling. Wouldn't upset me if he handled the play calling again going forward. However, if you do bring in a Tim Kelly and you're like, let's see if we can unlock in year 3 of 5, you got to have Watson hit this year. You have to. You can't have any other situations or injury. You have to have it. And part of that's going to be on Deshaun to play smarter. A Tim Kelly type would be somebody I would bring in as offensive coordinator. And if you want to go that route, I'd be fine with him calling the plays. But not just some offensive assistant. Otherwise, you might have as well let Alex Van Pelt call it. So is it a quarterback guy to work with it? And Stefanski calls plays? Is it Tim Kelly who does the play call? Hard to say. We'll have to keep track of that. Let me know, though, if the right guy's hired. One, do you have a favorite offensive coordinator that you want brought in? And whoever is, if they've called plays, do you want them calling plays over Stefanski? So leave a comment on the YouTube channel here. Click subscribe, notifications. Hit us up on Twitter. Leave a comment at AndyMC81. At SickPod Browns. We had a comment here from Kelly at KA Colvin 60 says, yes, please, to have somebody else calling the plays. All right, a little more Browns talk later. Let's bring in my guy. He's ready from ESPN 97.3 in South Jersey. My guy, Josh Hennig, to the program, talking some NFL players. Josh, how are you, brother? Good morning.
Doing good, man. How you doing?
Well, we're both sad bastards, right? Coming off of last week. That's why I didn't want a happy guest on whose team is still playing. I want someone who's going to be miserable like me.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I'm miserable, but I'm at least we're in the same boat. We have two teams that grossly disappointed us as fan bases are both, trying to throw rocks and point fingers at somebody.
Yeah, it's true. And the Browns made some what I would consider surprise offensive coaching changes, like I just talked about before you came on, Josh. I think it's a shift in mindset that you have to get to from a staff that Stefanski put in place to improve Baker Mayfield to now you switch it. Like, that's obviously not Deshaun Watson, and you have to do it that way. And one name that was brought up, if there are major changes in Philadelphia, one of the teams you cover very closely, they were saying maybe a Nick Sirianni could be an option. But what's your what are you hearing out of Philly? They got to make some changes here, right? There's got to be some sort of.
The latest is, and it's been actually a whirlwind because to give you the full picture here, basically, from what we understand, Howie Roseman, the Eagles general manager, and Nick Sirianni, the head coach, met with the players on Wednesday. Then Howie and Nick started building a plan for Nick to meet with the owner, Jeff Lurie, on Friday about the plan for the coaching staff this offseason. Now, read into that what you will. But what we know is that there's a lot of rumors that Nick will have a end-of-season press conference Monday or Tuesday this upcoming week. So he looks like he is not getting fired as of right now. But it's probably going to be a lot of people on the coaching staff who are fired. So
right. Has to be the defense, right? You're not bringing back Matt Patricia. Come on.
Not Patricia, not Desai. I think there's going to be more guys fired. Like you were mentioning about the Browns getting rid of Van Pelt. Like, I don't think the offense was the problem.
No.
For Baltimore, for the Browns this year, the problem with the Browns was the injuries. Everyone got injured. If they want to be fired, it's the trading staff.
Yeah. Stretch these guys better. Come on. 4 quarterbacks. It was remarkable what they were able to do, right?
Yeah.
I agree. So I think comes down to, okay, you have this staff that was brought in to have Baker Mayfield. You need someone to try to unlock Deshaun. And that's, I don't blame the coaches on this, Josh. This is a guy, the Rust argument, right out the window for me. Flacco came off his couch. No, the Rust, garbage. Not interested in that talk anymore. Watson's got to figure this crap out. Yeah. 3rd year, injuries, suspensions. Like, what frustrates me, Josh, is remember when Deshaun early on, he was making all the plays, but then got injured, had the collapsed lung, had to go by bus to the game. And then after that, he was like, oh man, if I take hits, this collapsed lung really sucks. He smartened up, and it seems like he's reverted back. So I don't know how you, with a quarterback that improvs it, we see it's not, I'm not saying he's similar necessarily to Jalen Hurts, but similar in the way that they can be mobile, they can move. I just feel Jalen Hurts is a bit smarter with how he protects his body. Is that fair?
It's fair that Hurts is smarter with his body. I'll give you that. I think the problem for Watson, from my perspective, is he needs coaches who are going to bring out the best in him.
Mm-hmm.
And since Bill O'Brien went back to the college ranks and he's not available, and I don't know the full dynamics of what Stefanski does and doesn't do in the room for game planning week, but yeah, I would seriously consider Greg Roman. Because Greg Roman is a guy who Alex Smith, Colin Kaepernick, Tyrod Taylor before he got to Cleveland, and he had Lamar Jackson. That's 4 different quarterbacks he made better. Like I was telling people this week, if the Eagles were to fire Nick Sirianni, I would hire Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman. I don't have any argument or questions, because the problem in the NFL today is that we're not putting the best people around these players.
Right.
We're putting the people that my friend's cousin likes. Like I won't say the person's name, but I was having a conversation about this with a former NFL coach a couple weeks ago. Him and I were having a couple of drinks together, and we were talking about how one of the problems of the NFL is that there is this attitude of, well, I want to coach with my friends. I want to play with my friends. Yeah. I want to spend time with my friends. Like it's not enough of a business environment at times. So I think if you really care about Jalen Hurts, Deshaun Watson, whoever the quarterback is, being better, hire someone who's going to help him be better. Don't hire someone who's just going to be, well, I like you. You don't have to like the people you work with to be successful. You just have to get along with them and work well with them.
I love that take, Josh. And we see it all the time. Like you're telling me wherever Bill Belichick comes out, we're not going to be seeing McDaniels or Patricia, or that same recycled crew. Yeah, you're right. These guys, like in our next lives, I hope we can be like friends with an NFL coach who's like would hire us. You'll work forever. As long as that guy gets out, bring him in. Oh, I'm the assistant linebackers coach. Cool. Okay. You work forever. It doesn't matter. It's tremendous. But a perfect example of that from the Steelers side is Matt Canada. That guy's the worst offensive mind I may have ever seen. He's horrendous. But why was he employed? Because he helped out Mike Tomlin's kid. That's disgusting. That's fireable. Come on. Matt Canada sucks. But that proves your point. Hire the guys to do the best around. Now, I don't know if you can do anything with Kenny Pickett or Rudolph anyway. But for good quarterbacks, yes. So it's going to be very interesting how it goes with Philly and the Browns. Josh, let's get to teams that are playing this week. Unfortunately, none of ours. And we look at these games. Now, I'll tell you this. I'm looking right now at Texans at Ravens. And I'm going to make my case to you why I'm taking the Texans to win straight up plus 340 and cover that 9.5. Lamar Jackson said it himself. The last time they had a bye, they came out flat-footed. They were rusty. The Ravens starters, Josh, haven't played in 3 weeks. CJ Stroud is on flatball. This guy's playing like a 10-year vet. And I think if they can come out and catch the Ravens flat-footed, Marlon Humphrey's out apparently, and you can catch them flat-footed and strike first, I think there's a real chance they can squeak this one out. What do you think?
I think the Texans cover the 9.5. I don't think they win for the simple fact that the game's in Baltimore. I think home field advantage still matters in the NFL.
Yeah.
I also like the over 43.5 because you mentioned no Marlon Humphreys. I think it's a bigger deal. People realize that Noah Brown is done for the year for the Texans. Right. I mean, they easily have the worst wide receiving core in all of football.
Yeah.
Like, they literally are the band of misfit toys. Yeah. It's Martha and the Vandellas. It's whatever scenario you want to throw out there because, dude, did anyone know who these guys were before the season? Like, you're a fantasy football guy, Andy, where you sit around being like, you know how much I tell people to put on their fantasy team? Noah Brown and Nico Collins. No. People would have laughed you out of the room.
Nico was like, you add him for bench depth and maybe he can pop into a flex if things go right.
Right. Maybe.
Right? That was sort of the upside. You're right. And the running backs are, again, they're not like Devin Singletary. He's done better, but he's not terrifying anybody.
Dameon Pierce is becoming nothing burger. That guy was a fantasy football stud last year.
Yeah. He's returning kicks.
Nothing burger this year.
Yeah. It's returning kicks. I look, would it surprise me if the Ravens won? No, because of everything you laid out. Maybe it's just me wanting just to like, okay, the team that beat you, you just want them to win at least, right? And do that. But CJ Stroud is so like, Josh, we haven't seen a composed rookie like this, and I can't remember how long with the lack of interceptions. But even Andrew Luck got burned in his first playoff game.
He did.
Right? But yeah, like composed. Oh, like, man, this dude is good. And I think there is a path where they can beat Baltimore. So I'm with you on the over. Josh says cover. I do as well. I say plus 340 win. Josh says Ravens win. Packers 49ers. If there's going to be one blowout this week, I think it's this one. I think the Packers have come as far as they have. You talk about misfits with all the injuries at wide receiver. Like, do you see the Packers having a shot here?
Someone gets injured. Because that's the only thing that stops the 49ers, apparently.
Yeah,
they are undefeated when Trent Williams, Deebo Samuel play this year. So as long as Trent, Deebo, and Christian McCaffrey stay upright, they're winning this game. Mm-hmm. The only problem I have with this game from a betting perspective is I think all the numbers are suspicious. I'm not a fan of how some of these numbers lay out. So you know how I don't like math problems, right?
Right.
So the team totals do not match the numbers. The 49ers are 30.5. Packers are 19.5. Well, last time I checked, that's 9 points, not 10 points. So then we look at the over-under. The over-under in this game is 50.5. That is higher than the team totals that add up. 50.5 is more than 50, which is what would be 19.5 plus 30.5. So I would lean to the under in this game.
Me too.
I would like if you could like same game parlay this to take the total and the spread together, maybe get a little extra value out of it. Because there's no value to get the 49ers outright. So
no.
To me, I would say if you are like me and you believe when you see a math problem that it's a sign from the books or something, I would kind of try to follow the trend, see where the money is going. Because here's the other thing, Andy, really quick. Bettors, the real people who are trying to make money, they don't like to follow the trends, right?
Right.
And the problem with this game is that this is the least bet game of the weekend at the last time I checked. I'm looking at it right now. It still is. So, and there's a lot of money coming in on the 49ers to cover this number. So I'm getting really uncomfortable with that number. But I do like the under in this game. And if you had to make me pick something else, anytime touchdown for George Kittle, just because of the fact that we did see the Packers defense give up a lot of points to the Cowboys in garbage time last week. Yeah. We saw the Packers defense get shredded multiple times in recent weeks. So to me, I think George Kittle would be a nice little prop there.
I think too. And again, I'm not super interested in betting on this game. I'm 100% with you. The only thing I bet on those game lines would be the under. Paying out right now, I see minus 105. That which isn't great, but it's close to even. Another thing maybe to look at is Aaron Jones rushing yards for a prop play. Niners have allowed, I believe they've been averaging 5 or more yards per carry to opponents over the last 4 or 5 games of the season. So now that could vanish if they jump out and you have to start throwing the ball. But sure. That might be something of interest if the Packers can at least keep it close and lean on Aaron Jones, who's been looking real good. That could be another one. But overall, I just think the Niners are going to win this game. I think that's kind of it. Now you talk about same game parlays. I got a tasty one for you, my friend. Let's look at this, okay?
All right.
So this one is okay. Hopefully they still have it. I'm gonna go Buccaneers. There we go. Give me the plus 1,000. All right. So we're going plus 1,000 here. Here it is. Plus 1,100. Buccaneers money line. Detroit Lions money line first quarter. So Lions leading after the first quarter. Overall points 49.5. I think this could easily, let's work backwards. I think this could easily go over 50. It's inside. And if you get these teams slinging it, I wouldn't be surprised by that. Lions leading at home after the first quarter. Hot crowd. That wouldn't surprise me. Buccaneers winning is the bit of the wild card one. But again, if they keep it close, if Baker Mayfield doesn't have to press, if you're up 10-0 after the first quarter and Baker has to press, I think you might be done. But if it's close, Baker and the Bucs could beat you. They all the pressure's on the Lions here, and that's a plus 1,100. I think that's something to at least sprinkle a couple bucks on. What do you think?
I think that what you got to look at is these are two teams that talk about defense but don't play defense.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it.
So for example, if you look at the numbers, if you go the over on the Lions team total of 27.5, it's minus 116. They go under, it's minus 108. Do you know what that means? The odds makers are telling you they expect this to be a high scoring game. So I really like the over in this game. I see a lot of books still have 49.5 down here in New Jersey. Couple have 50. So if you can get the 49.5, get that while you still can. And I like the Bucs to cover this number. I think this will be a close game. I think the Rams showed you a formula last week. The formula with the Lions is run the ball a little bit, go play action, make them think, make them overthink, keep the game close. Would I love to see Baker and the Bucs win? Yes. But I also like the Lions to get their first NFC Championship game in all time.
Yeah.
Never happened before. I mean, I've always told people, in the last couple of weeks, I would love to see a Bills-Lions Super Bowl just because neither one of these ever won that championship. So why not, right? Why not go out there and let those guys – it probably won't happen because the 49ers are in the NFC. But still, to me, I think the Lions are going to win a close game. So I like the over. And I think, Baker, Mike Evans, they have a game. From fantasy football what Mike Evans did this year. He was a monster. I mean, the guy's building a Hall of Fame resume. It's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
And he barely had an impact on the game last week. So imagine if he has an impact on this game. Woo, watch out.
Yeah, and Mike Evans has proved, he doesn't have to have an 11-catch, 200-yard game. He could have, and we've seen it, he could have 3 touchdowns on 4 catches. It could be that simple. He's just in the end zone, toss it up. He's that good. And I agree. I think he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Main event, Sunday night, 6:35 Eastern, Chiefs-Bills in Buffalo. I saw on Twitter this morning They're still asking people to come down and help shovel out the seats in Buffalo, paying them $20 or so. I don't know what they're doing. But look, this is a rematch of that epic game from a couple years ago. The difference here, though, Josh, is old Patty Mahomes has to travel for the first time. He has to play his first road playoff game, not in the confines, not being handed flowers, and everybody from the national media. They want more Taylor Swift. They want Patty. They want everybody, except for those diehard dirty Bills fans, and they want it to go the other way. How do you think this game's going to go? It doesn't look like there's going to be like blizzard. It's going to be cold, but that's fine. It doesn't look like there's going to be blizzard conditions. Do you think this is high scoring? We have 45.5. Is it disappointing? How do you think?
I mean, I tend to think it'll go. I don't like the over under in this game. I think it's too close of a number. Because I can see it going either way. I can see it being, Bills 2017. I could see it being, Bills 30-24. Like, I can see either one of those scenarios happen. But the one thing you did hear me say was, I think the Bills are going to win. And I think that 2.5 is right there for the taking. Grab that number. To me, you look at the fact that the odds makers, I always like to say, what are they telling you, right? Why is it a between minus 117 and minus 122 on the 2.5? But for the Chiefs to cover, some of the books have a plus number next to that number, Andy. That tells you the odds makers believe the Bills are going to win this game. And you kind of have to wonder, as we get closer to game time, you mentioned Mahomes, first road game. How's it going to come into this? He's never played in a place like those. Fans of Buffalo are going to be nuts. Okay.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be Michael Keaton from Batman nuts. That's what we're talking about here. You want to get nuts? Let's put a flaming table in the middle of the stadium and jump through it at halftime. Like that's what Pat Mahomes is dealing with. This is going to be almost like a college football game. It's going to be like insane. Yeah. It's going to be like, Michigan, Ohio State in the cold temperature on that weekend. So I think Buffalo wins, and I think the Chiefs will be sent into the offseason to reevaluate the fact that they have not looked the same since Eric Bieniemy left.
Yep, and since Tyreek Hill left, really.
Well, they won a championship without Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I get, but like the offense you know what I mean?
They had a 6 to 7 point drop off in points per game without Eric Bieniemy. So obviously there was something that Bieniemy was helping them do. That whereas Tyreek Hill, guess what? They still won a championship. That defense is amazing this year. That Chiefs defense is arguably one of the 3 or 5 best. I mean, who are the best?
Again, not talked about enough.
It was the Ravens, the Browns, the Chiefs. There's like 3 of the best defenses in the NFL this year. And then whoever the other 2 was, we can flip a coin. I guess 49ers would be one, and then
Cowboys for a bit.
Right, Cowboys for a hot minute. So but you're in that conversation, and it's like you have Patrick Mahomes. That dude should be able to win you every single game. And it was like you go in the games and you'd be like, I got Pat Mahomes, I got Travis Kelce, I got Isaiah Pacheco. Why aren't we scoring 30 points a game?
Yeah, right. That's it. Now, and you mentioned the defenses. The Bills' defense has been ravaged by injuries all year, but they went into the last very quietly, by the way, on like a 5-game win streak. It almost like it wasn't talked about. It was just like, and you're like, oh, wow, Buffalo's kind of hot. The defense can be had, and that lends itself to a bit of potentially a shootout. And we know Josh Allen's fearless. How about this? I just looked this up for a same game parlay for this Bills-Chiefs game. Pays plus 380. Over 45.5 points. I know we're not super comfortable with that, but it's possible. Josh Allen, anytime touchdown scorer, likely. Rashee Rice, who's not a Tyreek Hill replacement, but that's a guy that I was looking at this whole year. Could this guy start elevating to be as close as they could get? And I think he's as close as you're going to get of someone on the roster to do that. Rashee Rice, anytime touchdown scorer, pays out plus 380. I think for the Chiefs, they need Rice to be scoring that. And the rest seems pretty doable. Like at a plus 380, that's not too bad.
I would say if you can get that over-under number lower, like if you can buy that number down and throw that into a parlay, like I mean, I don't know the exact numbers in front of me and what the odds would be, but like, for example, if you could like, it's 45.5 in a lot of books right now. Maybe you could get it down to maybe like 43.5, 42.5.
Okay.
Maybe buy it down a little bit and then package it in to a parlay. That might be something.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? I'd feel more comfortable with that. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting game. Like, I don't think it's going to be like, to the level of the incredible back and forth like we saw from a couple years ago. But
right.
That's the one everyone's going to be looking for. Going to be really, really fascinating there. Okay, Josh, where can people find you, man? You're busy. You're every day. I appreciate you getting up with us. You're on the go 6-7 days a week.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, I'm not on the radio this weekend, but I'm on the radio Monday through Friday, 6 p.m., 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app, at Josh Hennig on the Twitter X platform, Joshua S. Hennig on the Instagram. And then, of course, I have all my articles I write at 97.3ESPN.com. I think that's everything.
That's everything for now. Yeah.
Right.
Good stuff, brother. Thank you. Enjoy the games. We'll talk soon.
You too, bro.
All right, there he goes, Josh Hennig from ESPN Radio 97.3. Here's one more Chiefs-Bills in-game parlay. I like what Josh said to see if you can get that over-under total number down and package it. These are the same-game parlays coming from our buddies at DraftKings. DraftKings Sportsbook. Get the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Get it. Use code 6sports. You get $200 match for playing $5 on the NFL playoffs. Come on, look at that right there on the screen. 6 Sports, $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 on any NFL bet. What are you waiting for? We can do these same game parlays. This is where I'm getting the numbers from right here. 6 Sports is the code. DraftKings Sportsbook app. You pop $5 in, make a bet, get 200. Come on, what are we doing, right? One more from the Sportsbook app that I think could be interesting. That is a plus 625 payout. Over 227.5 passing yards from Josh Allen. I'm comfortable with that. Over 1.5 Josh Allen passing touchdowns. Throws 2 touchdowns. I'm comfortable with that. Over 253.5 Patrick Mahomes passing yards. That makes me a bit nervous. But if you get into a bit of a shootout, maybe a 270 day for Patty wouldn't be too bad. It does make me a bit nervous. And then a 1.5 Patrick Mahomes passing touchdowns. That's one to Rice. That's one to Kelsey. That pays out plus 625. Let me know the bets you like for this one here. You can hit us up in the comment section here on YouTube, on Twitter at AndyMC81, at SickPodBrowns, Instagram and TikTok at AndyMCSports. And also, what do you want the Browns to do when it comes to the offensive coordinator for play calling? We have at JMacTravel4 says, I've been advocating for this for years for Stefanski to keep up, get away from play calling. At KA Colvin60 says, yes, please, for Stefanski to give up play calling. I'm fine with him giving up the play calling if the right offensive coordinator is brought in. And again, I think we have to read how this is looking internally. You had Alex Van Pelt, who called a playoff win when Stefanski had COVID in 2020. Playoff game called, won. Stefanski's technically not been on the field for a playoff win. And then Van Pelt, I think, called one other game and did well as well. So if you're not going to let Van Pelt do it, and because, again, you brought in Stefanski and Van Pelt to fix Baker Mayfield in that version of the offense. You did it. Well, now it's Deshaun Watson, different type of skill set, different type of athlete. So it makes sense that you don't want Van Pelt and you want a change of freshening up. So again, it really depends who you bring in. If you just bring in some guy who's going to work with the quarterbacks who has experience there, change up the freshness of the quarterback room, like a couple of the just assistants, Stefanski's not going to give up play calling there. But if you do get a Tim Kelly, who was Deshaun Watson's offensive coordinator during his best statistical season in 2020 under Bill O'Brien in Houston, then I'm interested. Then it's like, okay, the thinking might be, all right, hey, you had great success with Watson, do it again here, and have Stefanski kind of step back. But if you hire anybody that doesn't have experience with that type of quarterback, Josh Hennig, our guest just now from ESPN 97.3, brought up an interesting name in Greg Roman, who, with mobile quarterbacks, had a lot of success with Colin Kaepernick, with Lamar Jackson. At least the first couple years work. Well, Deshaun Watson, this is year 3 of 5. I'll take a couple good years until they figure out Greg Roman and he gets sent packing again. I'd be comfortable that way. But I want to hear from you guys. Let me know what you want done at the offensive coordinator position. There's a name. And for play calling duties, what are you thinking? In future shows, future weeks, next week, we'll start getting into the stay or go. Look at the 22 Browns free agents. 22. Who should come? Who should go? What does the salary look like with that? That's going to be a whole mathematical jumble that Andrew Berry and company is going to have to work with. Congrats again, JOK and Wyatt Teller to the Pro Bowl. Super deserving. That'll be very interesting, too, what they do with Wyatt Teller. Because there's a world where he might not come back with that elevated salary cap. You're going to have to readjust a lot of contracts with Chubb, possibly Teller, Amari Cooper. Not going to get easy for the Browns when it comes to this contract and salary cap juggling. It can be done, and I feel pretty confident Barry can do it, but it's going to take some creativity. All right, folks, that'll do it for us. Thanks so much to Josh Hennig. Thanks to producer Shane. Let me know, Browns offensive coordinator, your best bets. Who do you like in NFL playoffs games this week? We'll talk to you next week. Texans, beat those Rapids. Come on, get them out of there. Get them out of there. Until next time, go Browns.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.